Good morning! Today we are taking a break from the big projects and we're making some small fixes. As you may already know, I'm creating this game with my brother Viktor, and he has been making a few playthrough videos. During his playtesting, he finds various issues and bugs and he sends them over to me so I can get them fixed. Some of them are more important because they stop him from progressing in the playthrough, and that's not good for anyone. First, we're taking a look at the chat. For some reason, the chat doesn't work on some accounts. Taking a look here at my account, we can see that the chat works. I get the welcome message, and when I try healing with full HP, it says I don't need healing. This also works on this other testing playthrough account, but on Viktor's account, it doesn't work. So we'll have to investigate, and I'll let you know what I find out. I noticed something interesting. It's not this specific account that's bugged, it's when you log out and log in again, then the chat doesn't work. If I refresh the client, the chat does work on all accounts. So this means there's some problem with resetting the chat when the player logs out and you log into a new account. I have a function called initchats that runs when the client gets the first message from the server. So as long as the client is running, the initchat function will only run once. Changing this to run every time you log in clears the chat and resets it to receive new messages. So now it works when relogging between accounts. The next problem we're tackling is the first agility course. Previously, when you reach the end of the agility course, you automatically teleport back to the start to try the course again. I recently cleaned up and remade the agility logic, and when I did that, I forgot to add the teleport function. I'm now thinking that maybe I should ask the player if they want to teleport back to the start or if they want to stay. But I remember talking with Viktor about this, and he liked the idea that you either have to go for the loot in the chest or get the best possible time. If you can immediately go to the goal and then loot the chest, you can have your cake and eat it too. But if you are forced teleported when you reach the goal line, you have to sacrifice the best time to go loot the chest and then pass the goal line. So I think we'll just go with forced teleporting you to the start when you finish the first course. And now we have a more complicated issue. During quests, you can activate a hint arrow. This arrow shows where you should go for the next step in the quest. And in one of the first quests, the arrow doesn't update to the correct location in a specific step. So that's what I'm looking at next. The issue here was quite trivial, really. When I set the hint arrow, I set the NPC type I want the arrow to point at. And in this case, the goblin NPC type was 19, and I had accidentally mistyped the 9 to a 0. This is a good example of why we don't like using magic numbers for IDs. If the NPC type was goblin rather than 10, it would make the code more readable, and I couldn't have made this type of typo. We changed this a while back, but legacy NPCs still have the IDs. This quest serves as a tutorial for potion making. And if you watched the previous devlog, you know we recently remade the potion system. So since I was already working on this quest anyway, I decided to update it to work with the new potion system. So now when you get the flask from the druid, he tells you should click on the flask, and this opens the potion interface. I added a highlight for the potion you're supposed to be making, which hopefully helps new players. Then when you create the potion, I also added a highlight. There was another problem with the hint arrow, that the arrow would point at any NPC with the set type, and this could cause the arrow to point unnecessarily far away. So I just hard-coded the coordinates for the arrow instead. Now the quest should be working, including the hint arrows and the new potion system. When redesigning potions, I also made some changes to the crafting interface. This worked well for alchemy, but it broke crafting, smithing, fletching, conjuring. So I had to make some tweaks there. Finally, there's an issue with fire elementals. They have a large meteor attack that should be easy to dodge, and if you fail to dodge it, we want it to be punishing. It's on a percentage of your maximum health. This works fine when you're low health, but as soon as you get a larger health pool, the damage quickly goes out of hand. And as you can see, there's also a problem with the damage text. The way it works is that NPCs and players have a maximum hit. The text size is based on how close you are to the max hit. If your max hit is 100 and you deal a 1, the number is going to be very small. But if your max hit is 10 and you deal 100, the text becomes very large. And in this case, the fire elemental has a relatively low max hit, but because of the percentage-based damage, the meteor hit has no upper limit. So to be a bit more reasonable, I've set a cap both on how big the text can become and how much damage the fire elemental meteor can deal. That's it for today. Thank you for watching.